words in Psalm 23.
Welcome to the Carr and Seguin Show, hosted by Devon Carr and Paul Seguin, where two Michiganders dive into real estate, outdoors, community building, and everything in between. Yo, yo.
What's going on, man?
Not much, dude. 101.
Yes, sir.
101.
Past the 100.
Yeah. 101. It's like we're going to do a show on... No, isn't that more like the 411? Your general information?
Yep.
Or the 10... No. Yeah, it's 411.
That's 411.
Yeah. Yeah. We're over the hump.
Yep.
Now it's just all downhill from here.
Right.
We reached the peak. So, well, I guess we'll kind of tell the audience of what our plan is, what we want to do. Hopefully that there are some good informal stat videos. We talk a lot about stats. We've done this numerous times. But we wanted to get a little more focused.
Right.
Right? And what that is we're going to kind of break down data when it comes to the housing market in cities. We've picked a few surrounding cities that we do businesses, that we want to do more business in, but even just surrounding bigger cities.
Right.
Some ones that are blowing up for sure. A couple of them that we'll mention it just seems like every corner you turn, there's another new subdivision being built.
Right. Yeah.
But I think also to start this kind of series off, that we'll call it the facts and the fiction.
Ooh, I like that.
of real estate in our current world. I think if you watch national news media right now, no matter what the topic is, it seems always to be a little fabricated for fear. Worse than what it really is.
Yes.
Right? They do that nowadays even on a local news level with our weather.
Yes.
Like, I think, aren't we supposed to get snow Friday?
Friday.
Yeah. Like, and they're already saying 3 to 5 or something like that. And I go on and it's like 2.
Yeah. I don't.
Like, it's 2, but then the news channel wants to tell you 3 to 5. So then, of course, you have your Karens out there that go, oh, crap, I got to go to the grocery store because we live in Michigan where it snows every winter, and that stops the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think if you hear and you listen to all the news right now, that the sky's falling on real estate, right? Interest rates are astronomical high, and apps are low, and home prices are going to crash, and all that stuff, right? But, when you're collectively looking at those things, sure, can I argue on those? No, because interest rates are high,
right?
From where they've been.
Yes.
Homes, have they come down? Yeah, they've softened.
Yeah.
Home pricing has softened up, which I think, if I remember correctly, I remember a lot of people just complaining when homes were just skyrocketing.
Right. I'm not going to pay $50,000 over.
Yeah. Well, you're not anymore.
Right.
Shouldn't you be happy? No. Well,
the rate's high.
Yeah, the rate's high. And, it's not a good time to buy. Why? Well, it's just not. Why? I don't know. Exactly. It's just we're one extreme here, and now we're at this extreme, right? So
right, yeah.
I think the main reason what I'm getting at is just simply, when we look at the data that is factual instead of this fiction story that's being told by just probably some data too, but they're not looking at the full picture, right? And I think at the end of the day, the reason why getting a little more focused in the cities is because for most of, I'm sure our audience is probably here in Michigan.
Right.
Right? And as when you have national news media telling you what's going on across the country, does it really affect you? If there are certain cities that are getting hit hard
Right.
but it's not here. Does it really relevant to you? No.
Right.
Does that mean the 30% drop over here is what's happening here? No.
Or
Not at all.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
California or Texas or something like that.
Correct. I mean, sure, data-wise, there are cities out there that have seen a larger hit, but that's not what's going on here. And I think that's just kind of when we talked about coming up with this series,
Right.
work with us a little bit on these first 2 episodes because I kind of did the data a little wrong compared to what we want to do, but I have them up on my computer, so we'll be able to. We're going to show you some graphs on the screen as well, so you'll see kind of what we're talking about. But then I'm just going to add an extra little layer because we wanted to do a little cross comparison from what data was in 21 and what 22 did. But then also what we're going to kind of talk about is where we are even now. Because we did just see, it's kind of funny, we just saw the most craziest increase real estate market ever in the pandemic years.
Right.
Now we're also we're in the most largest, quickest rate hike ever in interest rates. Right? So I think it's understanding where we're coming from. Crazy.
Right.
And now we're also in a crazy reaction time too. Right? So it's trying to, as much as best as we can, balance the story, but just look at the data and say, well, this is just what's happening here.
Right.
For those of you who are here in southeastern Michigan, I think this is the most important data that you should be listening to, not maybe, your Fox News, your CNNs that might be just painting this picture that stuff is just falling, from the sky. And that's not the case. And I know that personally because I'm boots on the ground here locally.
Right.
And so are you. And there's scenarios already that it's like, hey, ain't anything like that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what all the data can point to.
We're still seeing, again, appraisal guarantees. You're still seeing escalation clauses.
Yeah.
I mean, over asking.
100%. 100%. So let's just dive in. Let's dive into the data. Now, this is facts, y'all. This is facts. So we're going to first start. This episode is all about wonderful, beautiful Brighton. Brighton, home of the Bulldogs. Right? Isn't that their, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bulldogs. Yeah. Man, they always have a good golf team.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, what's his face? They actually the Doolings, they work here. They do a lot of work with you guys here at Wayne Media. Yeah, James Dooling, he's the head coach, young whippersnapper. Yeah, man.
You'll beat them this year.
Follow the money.
You'll beat them this year.
Follow the money, and that's usually where all the good golf teams are.
I just watched the greatest game ever played the last 2 mornings. See, Francis
Ouimet.
Yeah. I mean,
underdog, man.
Underdog.
Sometimes I want to punch his dad in the face.
Oh, I know. God, you're such a.
Like I was just.
I don't like you.
I was through the screen, like to his mom, like just slap him.
I know,
just
right?
Slap him, but do something.
Stop being negative.
Just because, don't bring down your kid just because you, whatever,
Right?
Come on, man. Jeez Louise.
America's last hope.
But then I did cry when he's,
with the money.
with the money,
Mhm.
the
The
just
hat.
reaching out,
Yeah.
and it's him just looking at his dad.
Well, his dad screwed him up to begin with.
I know, telling him that
Well,
if he didn't
no.
qualify,
Yeah, but then didn't he show up at the qualifier last putt?
I
And
know.
threw him off.
Frick.
Yep. Just adding that pressure.
What show are you talking about?
The greatest game ever played.
I've never seen it.
True
it's
story.
It's a great movie.
True story about Francis Ouimet. He was the first amateur to ever win the U.S. Open, and the dude was like
Beat the
a
stylist.
quarter of the age of all the pros.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
And it's true about his caddy. His caddy was just a short little dude, which is hilarious. I love that guy.
I know.
He's a cool.
He always had the best sayings right at the right moment.
Yeah. Yeah, he was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It's funny I'd watched that we were in here on Friday.
Uh-huh.
I think we watched it that night.
Oh, did you?
Because we were sitting down trying, you know how it always goes. I don't know, maybe not for you and Becca, but for Jess and I, so I was like, what do you want to watch? I don't know. What do you want to watch? I don't know.
I spend about most of our TV time surfing and watching trailers.
Yeah.
Before I even pick a movie.
Oh,
and I think she gets fed up and she goes to bed.
That's true. 100%.
I just can't decide, but I like to watch trailers.
This is what we watch trailers, and I think because Jess is one of those people where it's like she puts her head down, matter of 2 minutes, she's gone. She's gone. I could say this, and we'll get back into this, but she has probably slept through 95% of all the movies we've watched together.
Oh, I would say Becca's right there too.
Dude, I mean, 95 I think is being generous. It's probably more like 98. Mm-hmm. And I always give her crap because the 2% is really the only movies she only wants to watch. But it is funny because she's always like, do you want me up or do you want me to fall asleep? I'm like, so we got to watch a shoot 'em up movie? Yeah. It's got to be a shoot 'em up movie to keep her suspensed and awake.
See, I have to say, are we going to watch this movie or are you going to spend all your time on Facebook? Right? Because that irritates the hell.
Yeah, when you're watching something and you're just on the phone the
yeah,
whole
she's
time.
on the phone. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's... For Jess, it's just as soon as she puts that head down, she gone. I mean, dude, I remember when we first met. She was working for a company, and they were doing, some kind of like they were working at an office or getting a new office space set up in like Birmingham, right?
Okay.
And so I would always, the sweet gentleman that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's my crumbs from the popcorn.
Sweep those on the rug.
Yeah, Johnny, you got some vacuuming to do.
Thanks, Paul.
When they were doing that on Birmingham, so I would go visit her, right? Or bring her coffee or whatever. And I just remember, like, the first time I was actually, she something with car problems, so I actually drove her the morning and then went back to go pick her up after she was done. And the building was like right off of 696.
Okay.
So, I mean, as soon as you pull out of the building, you go down and then boom, you're on 696. I mean, no joke. As soon as we got on 696, I'm like, oh, she's out. She gone. I mean, just like, boom. If she's not driving, that's why she drives a ton now. Like, I don't
Stays
care.
awake.
Yeah. Well, and she gets like car sickness a ton. Okay. And then dealing with the kids, it's always better to hop in the back of the minivan. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't get car sickness.
Right.
So she's like, I'll just drive. I'm like,
okay,
it's fine by me. We got 2 screens back there.
What movies
we watch, kids? Right. Paw Patrol?
Yeah.
No, Santa Claus. I swear my kids watch Christmas movies year round, which I don't care.
Right.
A little more Tim Allen. Let's go. Or their favorite is really the Christmas Chronicles.
That is a good one.
Dude, this is solid. Solid beard he's got.
That is solid.
Yeah. All right, so back to what we're talking about. Facts against fiction when it comes to what's happening in Brighton. What's happening in Brighton, Devon? What are we doing?
The sun is shining.
And it's 52 now. My computer says it just went a degree hotter.
Ooh, shorts.
Better.
Shorts.
Hey, spring. It's March 20th, baby. I mean, today we're recording on the 1st. It's freaking March already,
I know.
by the way.
That's what we said.
Holy crap. I mean, it was like New Year's was just last weekend.
I know. St. Patty's Day around the corner.
Yeah, St. Patty's. Shoot, I mean, that's usually what, the 16th?
17th.
17th?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, I remember a couple years in the golf business, man, where, I mean, it was like 70 degrees on St. Patrick's Day. I remember specifically, it was the first year I was at Tanglewood. It was like 75 on St. Patty's Day. We were packed.
Oh, well, yeah. Shoot, we had our closing on Valentine's Day. And I passed golf courses and there were a bunch of people.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And it was a nice day, but it wasn't golf nice.
No.
I wouldn't say, but
I'm not a big fan of golfing in the spring. It's just wet.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's nice and sunny out, you're still dealing with just everything on thawing.
Yeah.
The ground's soft and soaky and wet, and I don't know.
You tack the pin.
Too much of a fair weather, perfect dry conditions. 80.
Make sure you tell them
81.
that at your match. I can't do it today, guys. This cloud cover is not okay.
Partly cloudy, not playing.
Nope. Nope. You're going to have to move it.
Mostly sunny. Minimum 75 degrees. Just a slight breeze.
Mm-hmm. Not too much.
No rain in the last couple days, so it's dried up.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck with that mindset. All right, so we'll start off comparing some data, the facts on average sales price. And I'm going to do something here even a little more because we can go back 5 years on this, which average sales price. So we'll have Johnny bring up. So here you go, guys. You can see the data that I pulled again for Brighton. We're doing South Lyon. If you're looking in the South Lyon area, which obviously Brighton and South Lyon are pretty close to each other, anyways. But we'll do South Lyon in episode 102. And then moving forward, we have a few more other countries, cities that we'll do some data on, but we're going to have a little bit more expanded because we really wanted to try to show you guys what happened in 21 compared to 22. And the reason being is because almost half, I'd say, of 22 was dealing with just an insane fast uptick in interest rates. So, and the reason why we want to talk about that is to show you guys, yes, rates shot up to, I mean, they were easily in the, 7 something, low 7s at the highest at one point.
Yep.
I mean, we're at what, like 6.8 right now?
7.
6.9, We're right back to, I mean, that when it
we
peaked, it was what, like November or December before? When it went that high before, because it went high and then it kind of just slowly hovered down. We saw that dip.
It was like
into the high 5s for a minute. I mean, literally, it was a minute. And then, but the reason being is just to show the data of where things are going, right? Everyone thinks houses are just plummeting when that's really not the truth. And I understand it. Like, we're just coming off of these insane high growth years.
Right.
So anything less than that will just seem like the sky's falling.
Yeah, September, around October 21st was
when it kind of hit a
when
peak.
They were at its highest.
It was in the 7s, though, wasn't it, right?
Yeah, it was in the 7s.
Yeah. And then it kind of just sat in the mid-6s for a while.
Yeah, then it went up, then it came down a little, but it was all in the 6s. Around November, it got a little better. And then we kind of sat there for a while.
Yeah.
Until recently.
Right. We were hovering around like 6.5, 6.6 forever, it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And then we had some dips. But so kind of check this stuff out. So based upon this data that we have right here, we'll just focus on what they can see, and then I'll kind of dive into what they can't see a little bit. But from this data, this is a 1-year graph. So on the data that you're watching this on your far left, well, all right, over here. Right here is January of 2022, okay? So that, and then over on, I'm trying to learn where my camera pointer goes over here. On that side is the data that is getting, I wish I had like a cursor or like a.
Well, normal people read a graph left to right.
I know, but I'm just trying to do my, like when I think I'm going this way, I'm like, oh, my hand's way over here. Can't see me.
What's the difference between the blue and the green?
Very good question. See, here's our, what's the word?
Mediator?
Yeah, there you go. Keep me in check.
Right. Good choice for a podcast co-host, right? Was picking Devon to read the charts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The difference between the two, blue is Brighton Township, okay, because there is two Brighton, the city, and then there's Brighton Township. So Brighton Township, as you can see, you kind of get a little bit more. I mean, Brighton Township's a little more rural, so you're going to have a lot more acreage in some of those homes, which in Brighton is just going to get a lot more money. As you can see, Brighton Township just has a $472,482 average sales price, where Brighton, the city of Brighton, has $337,728 average sales price. So from year over year, the big thing that we want to point on this graph is that the home average sales price in Brighton, we're just going to combine them in a way. You have Township went up 9.2%, and then Brighton went up 7.4%. One thing that I do want you guys to focus on specifically here is this graph is a year. So obviously, if we were to try to zero in on the middle, that should roughly put us around June, July of 2022. And correct me if I'm wrong, Devon, it seemed to me that was kind of the beginning stages of when interest rates started to rise. Like midsummer to the end of summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't we starting to kind of...
May was kind of when it was May, June is when it started.
But I feel like...
Rise.
Yeah, it was rising, but then I feel like towards the end of the summer, like July, August is when it's like, whoop, we're already in the 4s. Now we're hitting 5, and it's like, holy crap. And the reason why I want to point that out is if you look at this chart, again, I'm pointing you to the middle, you still see there was a decent, on both lines, there was a decent increase. See my hand. Increase going up. Okay. Now both graphs also went a little down and then went up. Specifically more for Brighton Township up top, as you kind of see this up, little down, shot back up, and then now it's a very slow.
It's a bunny hill.
Yeah, but it's still going up.
Right.
And I want you to see that on the bottom too as well. For Brighton City, it went up, it went down, and then for whatever reason, Brighton Township just had this, which I mean I would almost put around October, November time frame, where the city of Brighton has gone up. It's just very slow. There wasn't a kind of a curve,
right,
like we can see in Brighton Township. But the reason why I want to point this out, now this is average. This is an average sales price amongst all sales. So, I mean, Brighton could be anywhere in 2s, 3, 4, 5, and above. So it's averaging them all together. But the point I want to point at is we're still seeing appreciation even in the midst. This second half of this graph was right in the very thick of our very quickly rising interest rates.
Right.
And this goes all the way to January of 23. So this is not including February's data, which I think, if disagree or agree with me, I think it would still be
going up
if we pulled from February's data. So that alone, to me, if we have this fiction story that we're hearing and listening to, that things are doom and gloom, I don't see it here. I don't see how the average sales price is continuing to rise. But one thing that I wanted to point to, it's at a very slower pace.
Yeah, it's not like it was.
Right. We're not seeing these, right? And if you honestly, the numbers show you, going back to what I was saying, more than half of what we're looking at was in the thick of this high raising interest rates. If there was a doom and gloom, we wouldn't be still looking at plus 7.4 or plus 9.2, right? Normal appreciation is 3 to 5%.
Yep.
That's normal. Our data is still showing that we're slightly elevated than where we are.
Yeah.
So that points to that. Let's go to, Johnny, let's pull up the median sales price. Now, same town. We're still looking at the same cities, Brighton and Brighton Township. It's all one kind of city, just different areas. I do want to say, for those of you who maybe don't know, average is a total of all home sales added together divided by the number of homes sold. You get an average across the whole spectrum. Median is if you lined up every single home sales price and then you picked the very middle. Okay? So what does that really mean to the data? I think it's just you're looking at, as home prices increase, your median is still going to go up, right? Because it's taking the very middle of all home sales.
Right.
So I guess I like the median. I kind of like this number even more, just because in average, you could always get a skew.
Right, you get those outliers.
You can get an outlier on the bottom. You can get an outlier on the top. Say Mr. Bill Gates had a house in here and built a $20 million house. Well, that just shot the average up way high.
Right.
Not to say that he did here in Brighton, but just for an example, where the median, you can't have an outlier really affect it.
Right.
Because you're still taking the very middle home sale number between all home sales. So I kind of like this data more in that sense that you can't have anything trying to skew the data. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. So let's look at the median sales price for the last year for Brighton and Brighton Township. Brighton Township's median sales price is $449,550, and then Brighton City is $325 on the dot. So you can't get a number on the dot with an average. But again, look at our percentages. That is up 8.4% for Brighton and up 6.2% for Brighton Township. This kind of data, I think just even looking at it, again, the same kind of synopsis that we're looking at right in the middle of the graph is when we saw the interest rates start to go up. You can see this downward tick, but then also an upward tick. But then it also now is flattened out. So, to say the least, again, based upon the data, is the market going down or is it holding strong? Devon,
holding very strong.
Holding very. Now I wouldn't say holding very strong, but it's holding.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not seeing any movement.
Right.
Which is, I think, the fiction story that we're just trying to prove is fiction.
I talked to somebody in my office today who's been originator for a while. I think he said when it was 94. I thought he said 94. He had, when interest rates were like 9, he said people kept waiting for prices to drop, and they just continued to rise. I mean, essentially, they never dropped. He said, it's not like it hasn't happened before.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're still fighting with supply. There's just not enough.
Sorry. That's the last. We'll get to that in a little bit here, and that's one of our last graphs that I think has always been the argument. But I think that's just what we're seeing. I just love looking at the data, the graphs, because it's kind of cool, because I honestly, truly believe the flattening or the stalling of any movement is a good picture of what our market's been like the last few months. Mm-hmm. I think leading up to just maybe in the last month or so, a lot of people that I've talked with and obviously in my business too, where it's kind of just this, right? It's not like, I've stayed busy. I've got clients that are having to move, need to move, want to move, and then
family's growing,
right? Certain things, and then there's a decent amount of other clients that have just stayed exactly like where the graph is. They're not hot, but they're not cold either. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of riding it out,
right?
And I think to do all that we're doing here, and we're not over. We have a couple more graphs to kind of go over, but it's just to show you guys, like, these graphs are showing you, because we already know it,
Right, yeah.
that there doesn't need to be this fear of what's happening with the real estate market. So let's go on to the next one. What do we got here? No, is
Average days on the market.
average days on the market. We talked about this, I think, on one of the other episodes. I just think this is kind of cool because it's like if things were so bad, don't you think this graph should be like flipped?
Yes.
I mean, I think this graph is actually mind-boggling.
Yeah.
With where our current state is, and it's like there's a part of me too, man, where it's just like if the media didn't weigh so much on typical public's mind, would we even have any issues right now in a lot of different industries? I just don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think we would have these crazy reactions to stuff when they happen, but it's just like the news channels always love to make it sound like it's really bad.
Well,
Take cover.
That's what sells. We were talking about before, the video that somebody posted a video of him just talking about the market that was all negativity, and he said it got a ton of views. Well,
tons of views.
I mean, people,
millions within like days.
People just thrive on negativity.
I don't. I run from it. That's
that.
why I hired you
that.
for my positivity coach for golf.
Mindset coach.
Keep the mindset. Well, I just think, like, man, if you're not filled with joy, even when things are bad, like, trust me, I've been there many times.
Right.
My life isn't freaking just a roller coaster ride upwards, and it's just peaches and roses, and the roller coaster never goes down a hill.
Right.
I've gone on many freaking hills in my life. But I've just learned that, hey, it's just a season. And I'm going to stay joyful now because I know the end result, I'm going to come out a better person, learning something that I know that I'll never do again. Mm-hmm. Whether there was a lesson to be learned or not, I just know I don't ever want to go back there.
Right.
So I'm going to do whatever it takes not to.
Right.
Yeah, this is kind of, when I was looking at this earlier, I'm like, gosh, man, it just doesn't make any sense. And I know it's not going to make any sense to any of y'all. So January of 2022, the average days on market. So that's when a house is listed until it goes pending. I mean, July of 2022, we were still in really low rates. Mm-hmm. And I understand it's winter around here. Things are slower, yes. But I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do this right now. So, Johnny, bring up this other one that we have that is it's a 3-year picture of the average days on market. So I think this was very interesting. That was just what you just saw was a 1-year picture of the days on market. Now this is 3 years going all the way back to January of 2020, which actually was pre-pandemic, right? So as you can see on the cursor there, April of 2020 is right at the bottom. We're actually in the only time, except almost to where we are now, which is kind of ironic. So right when pandemic hit in April of 2020, on the far this side of the graph, wherever my hand is, right here.
On the left side of the graph.
Yeah. So right when they merge is April of 2020. So smack dab pandemic. And then it's funny how they just spread apart. And they've been spread apart this whole entire time until they almost come back together of this past December of 2022.
I wonder if
we're getting back to normal.
That, or if it's no, because that's 22. I wonder if the big hump between Brighton and Brighton Township is new builds because all the delays.
That's very true. You're a smart man.
I wonder if that's what
that could be. Yeah,
that influenced it at all.
Yeah, so so you're talking about the very first hump right over here.
Yeah,
right there. Yeah, that started. So right when July of 2020 hit, boom, was that first hump, and that hump peaked at October of 2020. So between July of 2020 and October of 2020, was this huge separation of days on market, where Brighton went to 48 days and then Brighton Township went to 37. But as you guys can see, I mean, Brighton Township pretty steady, but then come about October of 2020, they had that pretty low decrease, and then February of 21, which, is coming right into the spring seasons. And then boom, April of 21 is where over on this side right here, right there, is April of 21, and then it started to just shoot up. My finger pointing sucks. And then where it separated big time again. How ironic. October. Every year. The last 2 years at October, they just go whoosh.
Big separation.
There's a big separation, and then come back to February, March is where they started to come back together again. Is there a trend that we are discovering at this very second?
Yes. Hunting season started.
Ah, that's true. Sorry, we got to put a hold on house search. Hunting season started.
Yep.
We can't do it. We don't have time for that. But to needless to say,
I mean, it's holidays.
yeah, I mean, October is always the kind of, yeah, it's the beginning of the holiday slull. School's in
September.
Halloween is the send off of, into Thanksgiving, and then the holiday vibe. Everyone's more focused on Christmas shopping than house shopping. But needless to say, even over 3 years. So it's funny. Here, Johnny, pull up the last one again. So go back to the original. There we go. Thank you. So our data here for the last year, Brighton City is 22 days on market, and then which is a negative 58%. So I think that alone is crazy to think, well, I mean, if the market's bad, if interest rates are high, Paul, no one's buying a house. Rates are just too high. Then shouldn't days on market be high? I mean, shouldn't the graph be going up because no one's buying?
If that was true.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of it from a data standpoint that of what the message I'm being heard, that we're in a bad market. No one's buying, no one's selling, no one's moving. So that means homes that are for sale should just be sitting on the market longer. Less buyers. They're not selling.
Right.
But that's not what this tells us.
But they could say, Paul, there's less homes. And so the ones that do go for sale, they sell quickly. Which goes into that.
Yeah, which goes into our month supply.
I was trying to segue.
It's perfect segue into that story. So let's pull up now the data for Brighton on month supply of homes. So this goes to show you backwards, right? If we just took the data that we just looked at, where average days on market went down,
right,
because you said, hey, that means
there's less homes, so the few that are coming on,
they go quicker, right? But then our month supply actually shows you differently. There's actually more homes available, but we're still less. I mean, that's kind of ironic. I mean, that doesn't tell me this market's horrible.
Right.
It's bad. No, because this average shows you month supply, January of 2022, they were exactly the same. They were at 1.4. And I know we've talked about this. If you were a listener of our show, maybe you're a newbie, but month supply of homes just is it's a stat data that says how much homes are on the market compared to buyer demand. And yes, there still is a buyer demand, believe it or not. And this is very good data for sellers. If you're thinking about selling your house, it's still a good time to sell because there are no homes. We're still low in inventory. And honestly, I think, the guy in that one video we just talked about how, if there's a big dump of homes, it's only going to send us into an even more worse spiral. I don't agree with that. I think as more homes come available, because, dude, everybody looks on Zillow. Everybody looks online. Even if you're not working with a realtor, you're looking all the time.
Right.
I guarantee you the true data of buyers is not even real.
Right.
I mean, because everyone just looks, and then when that one house comes up and they're not ready, it's like, well, then you made the stupid choice of not just being ready. Get pre-approved first. There's another part. Get pre-approved. If you're thinking of buying, just get pre-approved. I'm telling you. You're going to see the house of your dreams go bye-bye because you just ain't ready.
Right.
Yeah, Jack, get ready. No, but this just shows you that the listings are going up.
Right.
And that's been happening. I kind of always love these little dips, man. It's just cool to see how it worked. In January, so now we're heading into, let me pull up this graph. I always like to try to see the actual months. So from January to March of 22, you saw Brighton just have this 0.2 month supply dip where there was, golly, in Brighton, dude, from March 22 to May of 22, there was just like absolutely nothing. Nothing. And like every single year, what happens around springtime, Devin? Every year.
A few more come on.
Every year. It doesn't matter how high interest rates are. Doesn't matter where CNN or Fox News or whoever the heck you listen to tells you where the real estate market is. Every year, like clockwork, not from now till August, we're going to see an uptick of homes. It's just going to happen,
Right.
It's happening. It's coming. It's coming whether you believe it or not.
Right.
Homes are coming on the market, and you can see it right here in the graph. It proves it true. From April all the way to August. Wow, I'm good. I am dang good. And then August was this huge increase. They cooled off, and then it's so funny. We saw an increase of listings between August and November again. And now look at what's happening. Oh, see mine. Oh, I printed these off. February's data must have came in last night because now both
Have risen?
Risen.
Yeah.
They went to 1.8. So guys, we're already starting to see more homes available. Right now. February's data just came out. 1.1. We're actually now at 1.8. So yeah, this is actually telling me, which is so funny. So this is here's one thing that I do want to point out that I know that we don't have data on, and then we'll wrap this one up, and then we'll get into next week's. Stay tuned for next week's. We're going to do South Lyon. I love it when you hear these data numbers, right? Like for example, what we're looking at right now, the month supply of homes from January of 2022 increased 21.4%. On both of them. Yeah, because they're flatlined on the right side. 21% increase on anything is a lot.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to especially numbers. But what we're not realizing is the numbers we're talking about are so small that even 100% growth. Say these numbers were 100%
Right.
growth of 1.4. What is that?
Still a seller's market.
It's 2.8. That's still a very seller's market because it's what I was getting to, and I don't think I clarified it. Month supplies it's a number against the homes available in the market to buyers, but anything 6 months or lower is a seller's market. 6 months or higher is a buyer's market. When we were in the recession, we were at like 8 months supply, the 2008 crash. 8 months, y'all, is where it peaked at. We're talking 1.7 here. That's
still got a lot of homes.
Astronomical amount of homes that make a difference of where that was and where we still are.
Right.
So, but 1.8, we're already seeing it. Both of them went up to 1.8, where this graph is saying 1.7. So we're already seeing the increase of homes. And some people are pointing to, oh, well, we're going to start seeing more. Yeah, like we do need more. Mm-hmm. I think a lot more buyers actually would come out of the woodworks as well if there was more options. So to end this one, I will say on that note, guys, take to heart what this data is showing us. If you're looking in the Brighton area is an awesome, beautiful city. It's a great town, great downtown. The school, if you got a family, the school district is top rated in the state, has been ever since Brighton became a city back in 1776. No, I'm just kidding. But the data just shows that the housing is good here in Brighton.
Right.
And I think that's what we're going to try to end on our synopsis. Is that the right word? Or conclusion? Our conclusion, we'll do a conclusion summary with just a one stamp word. We're thumbs up. Brighton is still good.
But to your point, like how we're talking about Brighton in general versus the national. So on yesterday, February 28th, the Federal Housing Finance Agency released their house price index, which measures home appreciation on single-family homes. So East North Central, which is Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin,
Midwest
Illinois,
region, kind of.
So between November 22 and December 22, so a month, it went up 0.2%. And they're saying December 21st to December 22nd, it went up 6.7. That's all those states combined. So in the last year, it's saying nationally, it rose
6%.
6%.
Yeah. Which is still even a
over
little.
The last year, yeah.
Right. And that's what it's hard not to think of that data and say half of that whole data was in the thick of high interest rates. Mm-hmm. Thick of it.
The biggest was, year over year, the biggest was South Atlantic. And they went, year over year, it was 10.7%. The least was California, year over year. Well, the Pacific Coast was 0.6%.
0.6. So not even a percent.
No.
Yeah. I mean, even if you average it all out, I guarantee it's all probably still right there in that 6%. Yeah, because that's what they said it was on average, right?
Yeah.
6%. Yeah. And guys, I don't know about you, but are you making 6% on the stock market right now? No.
As of right now, the S&P 500 is down 15.9.
Negative 15?
Negative.
Or positive 6? Take your pick. I'll take
I like positive just because I'm more of a positive person.
Yeah, see,
I feel like it fits me better.
Positive is this. That's the day. That's the day word today is positivity right there. We're gonna make it happen. Yeah, I mean Dow's down today another $232. So yeah, very good stuff there. To point out that on the national average, that's where we sit, and I think with looking at just this data, just for Brighton alone, I would imagine the trends to continue and the continue in a positive direction for housing in Brighton heading into 2023. Even with these high interest rates.
Right.
That's going to continue moving. So that sums it up for Brighton. Stay tuned next week. We're going to do South Lyon, and then we're going to talk about some more cities. If you guys want us to specifically do a city in the Washtenaw, Livingston, Oakland, Wayne County, if you want, we'll be more than happy to do that. We can touch base on that. Put a comment below. Subscribe. Pound that freaking like button, and we'll see you next week. I'm Paul Seguin with eXp Realty.
I'm Devon Carr with Gold Star Mortgage.
It's Carr and Seguin Show. See you.
The primary purpose of this podcast series is to inform, entertain, and educate. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast series do not constitute legal or professional advice, opinions, or endorsements of any kind. Gold Star Mortgage Financial Group, NMLS 3446, Equal Housing Lender.